Hi everyone. Before we start, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so YouTube keeps showing you more content like this. Also, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now, let's begin. The clerk in the plexiglass window said, "It's the rain. Carpets, hold on to it. You'll be fine," and slid me the key with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Outside, the frontage road hissed under 18-wheelers, and the neon vacancy flickered like a tired signal. I'd driven all day from Waco, chasing a job that would probably disappear by morning, and the Pine Star Motor Inn in Hearn was the first sign of light after an hour of pasture and mesquite. Room 117 smelled faintly like old onions and bleach. The carpet squished under my boots as if it had a pulse. I pressed a towel down, and it came up gray. In the bathroom, the fluorescent light hummed and a strand of hair hung from the faucet like a stitch. "Got a leak?" I asked the clerk on the phone. "No plumbing issues on that line," she said. "Some folks are sensitive to odors. We had a barbecue cook-off last weekend. Barbecue doesn't smell like a sweet, sick rot that thickens by the hour." I cracked the window. Damp night air poured in, heavy with the Brazos and diesel. Cicadas buzzed in the pecans. I told myself it was a dead mouse in the wall. I told myself I was tired. I showered fast and stepped back onto the carpet. It yielded around my toes, warm in places that should have been cold. When I lay down, springs sighed like someone else had already shaped the bed. At 2, the smell woke me sharp as a slap. My eyes watered. Under the hum of the air unit, I heard a wet, careful sucking like a sponge being wrung in slow motion. I got on my knees and pressed my palm to the rug. It pressed back. "Nope," I said to the empty room, because talking makes things smaller. I lifted the corner with my key. The tack strip was rusty and the foam pad beneath looked chewed. Something had nested there. Something had bled there. My fingers came away with a fine grit that wasn't dirt. It clung to the lines of my hand like ash. I pounded on the office door in my socks. The clerk opened slow, a paperback folded on her palm. "That room's wrong," I said. "You can smell it from the parking lot." She blinked. "We've had no complaints about 117. You checked into 119. I held up the key tag. 117. Yellow plastic, cracked. She took it and set it next to an identical tag already on the counter. My name was written on both, same ballpoint slope. "The motel's old," she said. "Rooms shift around." Back in the hallway, the stink ran like a finger along the baseboards toward 117. When I opened the door, the bed was made tight and the air was clean. The carpet was bone dry. For a second I thought I had dreamed the whole thing. Then I heard the sucking again, fainter, in the bathroom. I wiped a clear circle in the steamed mirror, and saw the bed behind me empty, the blanket smooth, the pillow untouched. In the glass the bathroom door was closing on its own. In the room it hung open. I turned and the carpet rose around my ankles as if I had stepped into fresh clay. The smell swelled bright and unreal, like roses left in a trunk in August. My phone vibrated. Unknown number. The clerk's voice was small and flat. "Sir, we found an older ledger in the back. Please don't be alarmed, but 117 flooded last summer. A man wouldn't leave. The county said the floor swallowed him." The mirror showed the bed empty again. The carpet under me pulsed once like a mouth, and something deep beneath the foam breathed my name in my own voice. The neon vacancy sign at the Pico Star buzzed like a horsefly, and threw a red smear across the wet asphalt. Rain had only just stopped. The air smelled like hot creosote and old oil. Inside, the office was too cold. A window unit rattling in the wall. The clerk was a thin man in a denim shirt with pearl snaps and a churchy smile that never reached his eyes. "You caught the good kind of storm," he said, sliding a brass key across the counter. Room 7. Old lock. You turn it like you mean it. His fingers lingered on the key and he tapped the tag once. This one opens 2 rooms. I laughed and asked what that meant. He looked past me at the empty highway. Closet door sometimes sticks. If it does, a good tug. Room 7 smelled of bleach and cigarettes baked into sheetrock. A moth circled the lamp. The air conditioner coughed and spit warm air. I called to the office for the Wi-Fi, and his voice came thin over the receiver. Password is Psalm 23. Check the closet if you need extra pillows. The closet door was painted shut to the jamb. The knob was cold, colder than the room, like something kept on ice. I put my shoulder into it. The wood creaked and then gave with a sigh that sounded too much like relief. Behind the dead space of the closet was another door. No knob, just a slot where the brass key fit as if it had been filed for that exact mouth. I told myself every roadside motel had bad carpentry and secret storage. The key turned, and the second room opened like a held breath. It was the same layout as mine. Flipped, the same lamp, the same bedspread in a garish desert pattern, the same TV, but the furniture wore plastic sheets that stuck and shone with a dark gloss. The smell was iron and pennies under heat. Blood welled along the plastic like dew on grass, fresh and still moving in slow beads toward the floor. "Hello," I said, because some part of me worried about needing to explain myself to a deputy. The room hummed. The TV was unplugged but showed a pale rectangle, a ghost picture of weather maps. In the bathroom, a towel waited in a perfect roll. A razor sat on the sink with a single hair trapped in the hinge that matched the gray in my beard. My stomach tightened. I stepped back and the plastic crackled. One of the beads of blood slid over my boot and soaked the leather like ink. I closed the door and locked it. The closet had cooled the room. The lamp in my side flickered as if it were sharing a circuit with a storm. I called the desk. Someone bled all over the storage. "You should call somebody." The line hissed. The clerk said, very evenly, "Sir, you check in, you sleep, you check out. That is the order of things." I said I was leaving. He said, "Then return the key." When I opened the door to the parking lot, the air had gone sweet and wet again, rain starting a new round. My truck waited under the light, beads forming on the windshield. The brass key felt heavier in my pocket. I thought about tossing it into the ditch, but my fingers would not unclench. They had that strange muscle memory you get with a familiar house key. Back inside, I wiped my boot in the sink, worked soap into the seam. The mirror fogged in the damp. Letters drew themselves in the film, lazy and casual, as if from the other side of the glass. The first was my name, then the exact time in block digits, then one last word written with the same careful hand as the room tag. Again, the key turned easily in the hidden door a second time. The plastic was gone. The bed was made in a mirror of mine. The bathroom light buzzed. On the counter lay a receipt with my signature and tomorrow's date. The clerk's voice floated from nowhere and everywhere. The same steady tone he used when he said Psalm 23. 2 rooms, he said. One for the night you remember, one for the night you earn. I touched the paper and the ink bled at the edges like it had been signed in wet rush. When I finally looked up at the mirror over the sink, the glass did not show me. It showed the doorway to my own room, open, with the red smear of the vacancy sign pulsing through it, and the bed already warm where someone had just risen to answer the closet knocking. The power went out just before midnight, and the little rent house in Waxahachie turned into a box of creaks and drafts. I lit the candle I keep in a chipped mug, the one that smells faintly of old coffee and vanilla wax, and sat at the kitchen table with the storm tapping a soft coat on the windows. The air felt heavy and clean, like it does after August heat breaks, and the only sound was the wind running a hand through the live oaks. When the knock came, it was small and careful, as if the knuckles were feeling their way across the wood. I looked at the stove clock, dark as a winkless eye, and then at the dead porch light. The neighborhood was a line of black roofs against a stubborn strip of clouded moon. The knock came again. 3 beats, the kind you make when you do not want to scare someone. I stood without meaning to. "Who is it?" I called. My own voice answered, muffled by the door and the tough weather stripping I glued on last winter. "Help me," it said. Same cadence, same tired throat. I felt the hair on my forearms stand in a cold wave. "Who is it?" I asked again, trying to throw a laugh into it like a rock into a pond. "It's me," the voice said. "Nathan, you left your wallet in the truck." My name sounded wrong, like a mirror that shows one ear higher than the other. I had left my wallet on the table beside the candle, a brown square in a ring of wax. I put a hand to it. The leather was warm. The voice on the other side changed, softened, the way I speak to the neighbor's kid after his basketball goes into my yard. "Please, I am hurt." Lightning flattened the yard white. Through the peep I saw only the spread of my porch, the old doormat with "Welcome," worn to welk. No shadow, no shape, only rain pocking the step and a moth battering the glass. "Tell me something only I would know," I said. "Your father's pocket knife is in the junk drawer, 3rd slot back, under the batteries that never fit anything. The blade sticks at half." I reached without thinking. The knife sat where it always had since the funeral, in the dust of loose screws. My thumb found the notch and the blade fought me, then clicked open with a small animal sound. "Don't open the door," I said. My voice outside took a breath. I could hear it move closer, the sound of air turning at lips. "Then listen," it whispered. "Count to midnight. If you make a sound before you finish, you let the wrong one in." The room shrank to the width of the door. The candle ticked in the mug. The storm turned the trees into glass. I started to count under my breath, and with each number I heard another voice behind mine, speaking in time, older, younger, hoarse, whispering the same numbers, a choir of me folding in from far rooms. At 12 the knocking began again from the back door, stubborn and polite. "Front, Nathan," my voice said, close enough that I could fog the peephole if I leaned. Never the back. I took a step and the kitchen window flashed my reflection, candle lit and pale, except my lips were already moving before I spoke. The front knob twitched, the back one answered. Wood sighed, hinges woke. Somewhere in my house a door was opening the way a mouth opens to drink. On the porch my voice said one last thing, warm as breath in my own ear. "Thank you for waiting up for me." When the front door gave, it swung into black wind and rain, and a shape that fit my skin like an old shirt, and I understood the rule I had just obeyed. I had not kept something out, I had let something in that had always known where I lived. The candle went out as if pinched by a hand that matched mine. The Prairie Star sat a quarter-mile off Highway 90, a low strip of rooms with sun-faded doors, and a buzzing red vacancy sign that stuttered like a bad heart. Heat still held the parking lot even after dark. The air smelled like hot rubber and bleach. One night, I told the clerk, a woman in a denim vest with a silver cross that flashed when she turned. "You get the trucker rate if you pay cash," she said. "Room 12. Air runs cold if you kick it." I carried my duffel through a choir of cicadas and a soda machine that rattled like a cough. Inside, the room was all Texas Motel, rough-sheeted bed, a print of bluebonnets, a bathroom with tile that had seen too many shoes. I turned off the light over the sink and flopped onto the mattress, groaning at the spring in my shoulder. When I looked at the big mirror over the dresser, the bed was smooth and untouched. My eyes watered. I raised a hand and waved. In the glass, nobody waved. Just a neat bed under a dead ceiling fan. "Cute," I said to nobody. I walked into frame, stood where the glass should have caught me, and saw only the room the way a cleaner would want it. I pressed my fingertips to the glass. It felt warm. The AC coughed and spit colder air. I pulled the blanket, wrinkled the pillow, even dropped my boots on the spread. In the mirror, the boots sat alone on a flat bed. The space where my legs should have been was only vacancy. From the bathroom, the dark rectangle of the doorway shifted in the glass like a tide. I felt it too, the whisper of tile under a bare foot. Water did not run, yet humidity gathered on my skin. "Hello," I called, trying for steady. The mirror's bathroom gave a different answer. The door opened a finger's width and something shadow dark moved toward the bed with the patience of a cold front. I turned, heart knuckling my ribs. The real bathroom door was still. The shape existed only in glass, crossing the carpet that, in the mirror, never showed a mark. I dialed the front desk. "Room 12, I said. "Your mirror is broken." The line hissed like a pan on a burner. "You get the mirrors too," the clerk said, voice climbing from somewhere far away. "It happens when folks arrive late. Try not to lie down." The call cut. I stared at the bed I was already on. In the glass, the pillow lay white and empty as fresh snow. The shape reached the bed and leaned where my chest should be. The air grew colder. I felt the weight as if a careful knee pressed down and a second weight settled across my ribs. The pressure was not cruel, only inevitable. "Scoot over," a voice said from the bathroom that did not move. I tried to stand and could not. My breath went thin at the edges. I watched the mirror until my vision tunneled. The neat bed on that side never changed. No dent, no mussed sheets, no proof. The last thought I had was that the sign out front did not lie. There was always vacancy here. Tonight, it was me. The rain came down in a steady Texas sheet as I pulled into the Sandspur Motel off Highway 90, the kind of place with a flickering V in vacancy and a lobby that smelled like penny candy and bleach. The clerk slid me a brass key without meeting my eyes. "Room 12. "You already know the way," he said. I told him I had never been here. He smiled without teeth and tapped the ledger. My name was there in my handwriting, dated 3 days ago. I took the key anyway. The door to 12 was already unlocked. A lamp glowed low, the air heavy with damp carpet and the ghost of cigarettes. A suitcase sat on the luggage rack, same brand as mine, same scuffed corner, and when I unzipped it, the shirts were folded my way, sleeves tucked once then twice. "You took long enough," said a voice. A man sat on the bed, back to me, shoulders hunched. He had my jacket on. "Excuse me, this is my room," I said, trying for firm and landing on horse. He turned, and it was my face, pallid in the lamplight, eyes rimmed red as if sleepless. "We've been here for days," he said. "You keep leaving and coming back." I laughed because there was nothing else to do. Say something only I would know. I challenged, and he said my mother's name the way I say it when I'm scared, then repeated a private memory of a creek near Lowling, and a cut on my shin, and the way the blood looked like rust in the summer water. The bathroom mirror was fogged, though the shower was dry. I wiped it clean, and saw the room behind me empty, the bed smooth, no suitcase, no double. The mirror breathed once, a pale bloom of mist spelling the numbers 12, then clearing. "We should go," the other me said from behind, but the mirror showed only me alone. I stepped backward, reached for the knob, and felt a warm wrist instead. The door swung open to the parking lot, and the clerk stood there in the rain with the ledger. "Sign out this time," he said gently. "You never do." He turned the book and every line was my name, the dates looping backward for months, the ink still wet. When I looked up, the room was dark and the bed was warm as if just left, and from the bathroom came the sound of a shower starting, and a voice practicing my name until it fit.